The Kansas City Chiefs were one game away from being back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl champs for the first time ever. So how will they enter the 2025 draft looking to get back to hoisting the Lombardi Trophy? My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and today we got another 3-round Kansas City Chiefs mock draft. Before we do that, be sure to hit that subscribe button, tackle that bell, leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you think of the draft. And Ryan, let's pull this up here. Kansas City Chiefs, very interesting on how I think they're going to approach the this draft overall. I feel like it's going to be a heavy emphasis on the trenches, and we already talked about that with the tackle position as well, just in general, but also too now with the trading of Joe Tooney. Also, too, how are they going to address the guard position? Is Kingsley Suamataia, as of right now, looks like he's slated to slot into that left guard spot. They signed Jalen Moore, so maybe they wait to address the offensive line later on in this draft here and focus on the trenches on the other side and try and get a guy to grow and develop and also be a great running mate with Chris Jones. And that's what we think we found here with Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a very solid, explosive defensive tackle. I think he'd do really well paired up with Chris Jones. He can move up and down the defensive line as well, and so I feel like that's just going to be a really good pairing. And I think Steve Spagnuolo would really like having Walter Nolan on the defensive line, solid against the run. He can really explode off the ball in on true passing down. So that's an interesting option there. They could also go with a explosive receiving option like Luther Burden or an explosive running back like Travion Henderson. If Isaiah Pacheco is not able to return to his full form and he's going to be kind of what he was in the second half of the 2024 season, they're going to need to find a replacement for him. So I think that's going to be a potential option. And then Landon Jackson was another edge rusher that I think would be really interesting. Go across from George Karlaftis. Has a lot of size, a lot of athleticism, and some pretty good production here in 2024. So, excuse me. I like those
Right.
picks. Let's move on. They have 2 second-round picks. So, and they're pretty close to each other. So we ended up with the first one. We went with Cameron Williams. He's the right tackle from Texas, but this is a pretty big developmental project. But with that being said, the upside is just tremendous. 6'6", 340, can really move when healthy, and just has super long arms, super physical. Can really move guys in the downhill running game. So whether or not Jawan Taylor is going to be the right tackle of the future, I think Cameron Williams can stay there. Or if you want to just totally rebuild Cameron Williams and his pass sets and everything, you can flip him over to that left side and have a long-term answer there. But I do think that they are, with the signing of Jalen Moore, I do think that they need to take a depth tackle pretty early on, but they're not like super pressed if the pick doesn't if it's not the right pick necessarily at 31. So, and then I know we did just take Walter Nolan, but I think Deion Walker is really good value here at 66 at the top of the third. And so I think that for me, maybe it's a little high, but again, the ceiling is just so high. I think you give him to a defensive coordinator like Steve Spagnuolo. You now have 3 defensive linemen that have a lot of potential. Well, Chris Jones is already an all-pro, but Walter Nolan, Deion Walker, that's a really good tandem for the future. And also, too, like Chris Jones is in his early 30s now, and so I think there is a little bit of I think post Chris Jones planning going on. The biggest problem that Deion Walker has is just that he plays with a little too high a pad level, and for being 6'7", that's a really big target for these offensive linemen to hit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go about like addressing the trenches on both sides of the ball. I mean, because with if Kingsley does kick in left guard, which is what is being reported he is going to do, you're still going to have Wanya Morris. But once again, though, as well, you could still be developing Wanya Morris, and you're going to have Cameron Williams in there also as well to develop. And we see the potential. Everybody sees the potential with Cameron Williams. I think that's why then he even too declared. And so Deion Walker, he does provide that versatility. Maybe if they don't want to double dip on the defensive line just yet, I do think a guy like Ty Felton, I think, would be very interesting as he was taken just a couple picks later. Add him to that receiving room as well. Or maybe this is where a spot where they go and get a couple of other skill position players here at the beginning of the third round. So this is their beginning of the third round pick,
Yeah.
with thanks to the L'Jarius Sneed trade with the Tennessee Titans. So Kansas City, Definitely heavy focus on the trenches so far in our mock. I think it's possible that they end up doing that as well. I think another kind of pseudo trench pick as well is going to be their last pick of the third round is going to be tight end Terrance Ferguson out of Oregon as well. Start to prepare too also for a little bit of post Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no, I think Terrance Ferguson is a really good kind of possession tight end. Had a lot of it, I don't want I don't know how to explain it because you look at it and he was just very consistent at Oregon. He didn't really have a really big game. He didn't really have a really bad game. So I think that is going to be an interesting pick there. But I
Yeah.
think he can come in and be the hopeful Travis Kelce replacement.
Well, I also think though too, if you just go look at Oregon football last year, also too just the brand Oregon footballs, they're
Yeah.
not typically like super tight end heavy. They're definitely got a lot of
No.
speed, a lot of explosiveness, especially then too. I mean, being in the Pac-12, and so a lot of it is you see a lot of these speedster guys like Bo Nix on the ball to Tez Johnson, and then also Troy Franklin as well too. Like really heavy focus on the outside receiver guy. So I think Terrance Ferguson, though, from what we have seen, has a potential to be a good guy for them to go and develop and prepare for post Travis Kelce, as I said.
Yeah, yeah. So I like the pick. I think all four of these picks, excuse me, uh, they all come in and fill a need. I do think maybe, especially after the Joe Tooney trade, that they maybe invest a little bit more into that offensive line and get some depth. And so maybe that's a day 3 thing for them. But I think the Chiefs, we've been talking about this. The Chiefs definitely still have some holes that I think they need to fill. And this is probably like the weakest they've been. I think back to like when they were coming off that Tampa Bay Super Bowl. This is probably the weakest that I think they've been
Yeah.
since that point. And so I really think they need to go and rebuild this offensive line and get some more weapons for Patrick Mahomes. They might even need a new running back. So all in all, I think it's going to be an interesting offseason to kind of see what the Chiefs go and do.
Yeah, I think this and like the AFC West just as a whole is going to be extremely interesting this year as the Chiefs are, I would say, the weakest they have been in a long time, as you talked about, like in the past 4 or 5 years. And at the same time, too, you go look at the Broncos and the Chargers, it's the best they've been in a pretty long time. And the Raiders, I think, have a lot of potential as well
Yeah.
now with Pete Carroll as their head coach. So it's definitely not going to be easy for the Chiefs to just win the division again, get back to the Super Bowl this year. They're going to have a tough divisional road ahead. And I think really focusing on the trenches, had that be one of their main priorities, is going to be the way that they're going to get back to having that dominant performance that we're used to seeing the Chiefs have.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Chiefs 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And that we'll see you guys next time.